Okay, this. Would you like to tell us more about it?
Introduction. I was sitting thinking this morning, I got up early and started painting and had no idea of what to really talk about. Um, um, so I thought, do this is this. This is the absolute. So for how we experience life, we experience life through the self, through the senses. Um, Thoughts arise. Uh, Life appears to be a duplexity, perhaps. Um, if one is in the noumenal eye, the first eye, the eye before perception, the eye before conception, everything is a wholeness. Everything is a wholeness. Thoughts arise. We tend to say, my thoughts. I would question that. I'd say they're not my thoughts. Thoughts just arise because there's all number of things that occur in thought. Sometimes they're sensitivities, sometimes they're intuitions. Perhaps there's reminiscing or sorting something out from the past. Often there's functional things that arise in thought, body-related things related to senses. But the noumenal eye is a wholeness and has no experience. It appears to be sitting behind this appearance. It's throughout this appearance. There's no separation for the eye in this appearance. We don't really know what this appearance is, except in simple functional ways. And the appearance is just a surface. There's actually really no depth to it. Thoughts arise like pinpointedness. They working through plot points, perhaps anticipating a future. How things arise in feeling and the thoughts that associate to feeling. Perhaps a sense of okayness, perhaps a sense of adjustment. These are all very, very simple things. It's actually very, very simple. Thought becomes quiet. There's an okayness about thought arising. Doesn't matter what the thought is. There's an okayness about feelings being so. Perhaps little adjustments. Just little adjustments for how we feel in our okayness, mostly about the body. Perhaps feelings arising to thoughts, what we might consider to be our concerns. Functionality. Things are very, very simple. It's hard to put a language to this, but the noumenal eye, I mean, the eye with no attributes. The eye with no characteristics. The eye with no persona. Just that sits here at the beginning of this, always with this. Can't really be here because we don't really sense here. We can't really perceive here. But with an okayness, there's this space that we exist in, which isn't reliant on our perception. It's not even concerned about its non-perception. It doesn't have to add anything onto itself. It doesn't really need to experience. It is the wholeness. Those things we call experience might arise in that, not too dissimilar to thought, things that we'd identify as something happening. But everything's just happening. We might feel that a personal I is contributing to that, but that's just happening. It just occurs to us. That's just happening. There might be a sense of action, but that's just happening. There is no will. There's not even choices. There's a volition. We take a glass of water, we take some food, we do the activities which give us pleasure or satisfaction in their completion. But everything is complete. Nothing needs to be added on, or this is just perhaps like the joy of giving or something like that. So earlier, before we started, Magdalena, you asked me, how am I? If you could identify the I, that clarity. Ekomananda and I have been experimenting with this notion, no more seeker, no more seeking. Seek nothing. There's things that we tidy up. We keep a nice house. There's activities that are here. But this is just happening. This is simple. This is easy. Being okay. So I thought we'd sort of come from here. This. And look at our okayness. Let's talk about wholeness, the difference between wholeness and separation. Where duality occurs. Let's think about that. And talk about that. Does anyone have any questions?
It just occurred to me that if you don't even think about duality, or if we pinpoint or point a finger at those who aren't speak about any spirituality terms or language, we typically label them they're non-spiritual. On the other side, they are actually all seekers. So do they consider they are in duality? Perhaps not. This has me ponder.
They would feel separation. The separation from the object of desire, perhaps. The separation from the object of willing for it. The desire to become something more, whether we regard it as being material or spiritual, is exactly the same. It's separation.
It is in the moment when people struggle, when people have questions that they do not have an immediate answer or solution to their present problem. This moment I feel pain, and that moment when they experience duality. Before that moment of discomfort arises, they do not consider spirituality. They do not consider duality, non-duality. What is the heck that you're all people talking about awakening, right? And practice meditation and yoga. They're not concerned about this. to me, that period of time, they do not necessarily experience separation. However, that we might consider they are not spiritual, they are not awakened.
Well, whether it's material or spiritual, the separation is in the object of desire. So we all demands a completion. So if you have an image of what it is to be enlightened, then you'll work for that to be so. But that can remove you from the immediate moment. That is the separation from here. People talk about now and presence. These are only suppositions, superimpositions over the self. That's just putting an object of something to attain. That is separation. You know, there's nothing wrong in coming to completion or making a piece of toast or finishing a painting or doing whatever it is. These things are fine. These things are simple and easy. But for the spiritual seeker, perhaps the object of desire is the continual seeking for the unknown, you know, to want to know something. And then when you look at knowability, we're really, really humbled for what we know. In our immediate circumstance, it looks like we're very, very familiar with everything. But if you look carefully, everything's really a mystery. We know nothing, very, very, very little. An iota of things. But does that matter? Does that really separate us? It's not in our knowing that separates us. There's nothing that needs to be added on. Nothing at all to be added on. Just this as it is. That includes what we call the self. That includes what we call perhaps the enlightened one. It's here now. If you can see it, then it's here. If you can't see it, then you just don't know it. But we mostly don't know anything. Don't know anything. It's empty. It's completely empty. There's nothing to solve. There's nothing to complete. Yes, when we're making breakfast, there's a point from A to B to make the breakfast, or a cup of coffee, or paint a picture, or whatever we do, vacuum the floors, or you know, in the process of simple life, that's that. But you can see the issue that comes up when we go into matters about spirituality or the big desires we have for creating material things too. There's nothing wrong with any of this, by the way. It's just interesting to look at it carefully. And for where maybe it strips us of our joy, or perhaps more importantly, how it adds tension into that we call our state of being. Yes? Yes?
Yes. Can I
Yes, the
comment
rooms.
on something? On where you mentioned there is nothing here and that we can't know anything. We don't know anything. I think this really stirred up that fear of lose something. That
Yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
somebody told you whatever that you know is nothing, this frightens people.
But but it's not void. It's also everything. It's everything. Nothingness is everything. You can't
That
strip yourself
that
from it, but we put it in our knowing. It's so, and we put it in our perception. And both our knowing and our perception is only minuscule.
That's
What
correct.
it's
But from the knowing, from we know something, right? So everybody consider themselves know something, right? A part of you, fully enlightened. So everybody consider them knowing something, and from that knowing something to acknowledge the self, I know nothing. Right, that's a step. There is a process to from there to get here, and then from here to go even further and recognize that the nothingness is equivalent to everythingness, and
and
that
it's in seeing that that for how we experience out of through our perception, through our senses, is very limited. It's perfectly as it is for us to be in a human life, but it's limited. You can't lean on it. And for that comes in the mind, this is all very, very limited. This isn't dependent on that. This isn't dependent on it. This is why our will, isn't it? Our desiring for things, isn't it? And we know it. We know it immediately because we struggle with it, we work with it, or we don't struggle with it. But my proposition is that you don't need to struggle with it. It just arises. And you just attend to things very, very simply. And then there's no tension in this. Tension will arise. And it's interesting to look at that. You know, we make contracts with things. You know, the whole development of the self has issued out of that there's the name and the naming and the form which might be put toward the self, but actually the reality is it happens in the child around 2.5 or so when they start being told no to things where they're just experiencing it directly. So what we learn to do is to find the yes and through our parents, and out of that through our siblings. So what we call cooperativeness and compromise. And then we build a self up out of that arrangement, which we call our experience, and what we call favorable experience or happiness, or um, what is confirmed as something that we want to have be continuous in our life in some way or other. And in all this identifying, at some degree, we realize that, well, we make adjustments all the way to find this okayness. And in the middle of it, we actually even codify a self. But this self is non existent. The self actually doesn't exist, except that we see a continuity in it through the arrangements of our thoughts and feelings and our beliefs about that. But none of this is real. None of this is real. It might be convenient. It might be convenient. It may not be convenient. You know, we might find that, and we do often find, in the self has to be adjusted for every type of relatedness, whether it's in the food that we choose or in relating with other people, animals, or environments, or all this is part of a construct in how the self occurs to the self. But this is an illusion. It's not correct. And in the midst of it is a lot of contracted tension, which is just not necessary. It's just not necessary. It's just not necessary. We can see this very easily. And it's not that we really need to do anything, in a way, just observing it and really acknowledging it for what it is. This is a tension, and behind it is a set of beliefs that has me behave this way. And there's nothing I can do about it until I understand it. Perhaps there's a softening in it. Sometimes revelation happens through this means of inquiry. There's a relaxation. There's a feeling better. It's easier to come to okayness. It's quicker. It's not based on tension. There's no hard fixed rules about all this. There's no states that we need to maintain. There's just this. And this is perfect and complete as it is.
Do we have any questions, or do we
Mm.
consider ourselves know anything about anything at all? Any comment?
I have a question, maybe two. They're
Yes.
kind of the same. So, I've been trying to expand my being present in the present moment. However, how do you amplify staying present or ground? Or my other question would be, how how do we ground in the now, or how do we amplify the now?
There, we can't possibly perceive now.
Okay,
This is a misconception. If you
okay,
were to come through the senses, well, we know that it takes an iota of time, whether this is just an iota of a moment, however, this is a second or a few seconds before they perceive. I think on one video I heard they were talking about the science behind this, and they've actually gotten to the point where they recognize that we actually don't perceive the action until we've taken it. I mean, look at how we speak. I mean, you watch yourself when you speak. How does that happen? How do you get that continue? And we say it's second nature, but that just means we don't know. We don't know. And is it, like you've said a question, this notion about now and how to be
mm-hmm.
present. Presence isn't so difficult to do, but that's just a facade. That's just appearance.
So there,
Presence isn't, because you're perfect as you are, but however that arises, like a flower is in the garden. You're perfect as you are, as this is. And then you'll contest that and say, no, I'm not.
oh yes.
Yes, you will contest that inside
If
the
it's not
self.
me,
I'm
it's
not good
the
enough.
it's you know, somebody will be like, no, should be, you need to be this. So yeah.
They have to be this before I'm that. And look at that really, really carefully. I mean, now, just now, for how that feels. We can't even really get the dimensionality of that. It's all
Yeah,
just
my I got goosebumps.
surface appearance, though. That even in feeling, we call that a depth, but it's a surface. There's no way of really penetrating into that. The moment you penetrate into that, you maybe subject yourself to negative thinking or positive thinking or whatever. But they're just suppositions. They're unreal. They're not necessary. That's not the way that you're here. You're just simply here. There's no separation in it. This is it. And you're perfect and complete as you are. And you embrace that, you know? Mm. Ekomananda?
Can I just comment on that? Now, what happens to many people who are spiritually awakening or had some of those profound spiritual awakening experiences? Now, those experiences blow you out, right? Because you experience something that you had not experienced before, and that stirred up some desires and wanting to experience that more. And that moment become something that you are looking for to achieve. You desire to achieve that
All right.
now moment because somebody facilitated you to create that
Can
moment. And
I ask you
now
a
I
question?
really got
Can I interject? Can I interject? What is it that's in those experiences that aren't now here? Or best say here. And I would say they're qualities. That because we sense these as qualities. It's in the noumenal eye if the noumenal eye that stands before this, there's no separation with this. This is it. This is it. There is no tension here because there's no separation. There's not this and that. There isn't this and that. There's only this. And it's beyond the belief. The belief interferes. The belief says, no, it's not. It's there. Well, what is there? There doesn't exist. So, Magdalena, speak, Chloe.
So am I experiencing myself right now through you guys, or what's going on?
Say again. Say that to me again. Say that again.
Am I experiencing myself through you guys, or are you experiencing yourself through me? How does that work? Or
There's no
both?
separation. There isn't any me and there isn't any you. This is just one thing happening.
if I may
It's now.
say something back to her
This
original
now.
question is how do I ground the now? And then
Yeah.
Sunyata's answer, you can't possibly perceive now. So that now
Okay.
you are looking for, you're in this position of seeking, right? So come back to here, there is no now.
So
It's
come back
just
to here. So come
It's
back
just
here.
is.
Be here.
It just is here. Yes. Then some people might add a now. It's here and now. So the
And
the
very, very
word
quickly, the mind comes in and protests. See, the mind comes in. This is the issue. The mind comes in and says, no, not just this, not this, not this, not this. But
Well,
what's
quite
wrong with
frankly, I would
this?
like my money back from the power of now, then, if it doesn't.
All right.
Right? I mean, that
um
means,
But this is a teaching too. You have to be a little bit careful here because it brings in the seeker. How can you be separate from the now? Well, now is a concept. Now is a concept. Unless it's just purely this, just this. And then quickly the mind comes in. It's that urge to come to something. And very, very quickly it's running and it will put suppositions forward for you, sort of say, well, not this. All this has to be fixed up before this is this. Because this is loaded very, very quickly with mind.
the power of now idea many people out there have is heavily loaded. Heavily loaded with your awakening experiences. It's not a bad thing, it just is, right? But what Shunyata trying to share is there's nothing more you need to expect to happen. There's nothing more you need to learn. There's nothing more you need to ground. You just accept totally. So the non-grounding experiences that
okay.
that it happens is that we feel this is not enough. Something needs to happen. So right here, what we're talking is nothing needs to happen. You need not to learn anything. You need not to experience
Oh,
further
it's not so much
enlightenment.
that nothing. Can I put up? It's not so much that nothing needs to happen. Things will happen. You know, conflicts will happen. You know, the nature of things will change. It's just the way it is. But there's no way we can anticipate that, nor do we have to be prepared for it.
Perhaps another word to say,
You,
sorry, my correction is nothing needs to be achieved.
To be with this.
Anna Maria.
Yeah, okay, come on. Now, let's see what. No, but Magdalena, something's coming up. Let's stay with Magdalena just for a little moment if we can. Come on, bring that forward. Speak for it. Show your frustration. Come on, bring it up.
Well, if nothing is matters, then
It's not about nothing matters. That's not what we're talking about. It's
I
fine
would
that
like
things
to.
matter. That's okay.
Okay, well, let's see what Anna Maria has to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
And
forgot.
Maria, do you want to ask?
I forgot.
Very good. That's okay. Then it
Perfect.
wasn't important. It will rise again if he needs to speak about it, eh?
There's nothing urgent, nothing important.
Yes. So just relax into it. Magdalena, I'm going to focus on you for a little bit, Magdalena. Because it's easy to get. It's easy to get this. Because just relax into this. This is it. And see who protests. What's the protest? Just speak it.
The protest is that how I like this moment right now, so I would like to hold on to it.
Oh,
Just
All right.
hold on.
Well, don't hold on to it because it's just
Oh, don't
happening.
hold on to
It
it?
can never not be this. It can never not be this.
Okay.
It can never not be this. You know, I might need to turn into a ferocious tiger because I need to sort of go to war or something, but I can never be separated from this. You know, we can find ourselves in horrible circumstances
Mm-hmm.
which don't feel so pleasant, but this is this.
So can you expand on that? So do you find yourself in a certain circumstance right
Oh,
now?
it's not about fearing a future. It's not, we don't have to anticipate a future, but we do very, very quickly. You know, like life's not good until this is done and this is done. This, I can't be this here with this here until everything is done. But this is it. And the I is clear and perfect and totally complete. Come on.
I currently work with an undiagnosed autistic child. Um, I don't know what the diagnoses are, so I'm not gonna even go there. Um,
Mhm.
he he was very, what do you call it? When he hits, like he's very, just his little mind doesn't understand certain things, I guess. And I came into his life, and I think I was sent to him because he's also very bright and his soul is really amazing. And when I was going outside sometime, because we have to take a walk or whatever to calm down, I would ask for guidance from my spirit guides or from spirit or, God in general. And so um, would I would get lost at some point because I just didn't understand what's going on. Like I can make some rationale about what's going on, but he doesn't know what's going on. And I would ask for help, and each time I asked for help, I would get two butterflies that were coming, and then he would just come down.
Can I ask what your question, what were you
My
asking
question
help for?
about that is that it's that experience in my life to teach me something, or is that something that I'm making up? What's up? Like it's a part of me. It's a part of me. Yeah, I understand, but does that person kind of have to go through that suffering to learn something? That's my question.
And this is a past experience that happened in your childhood.
No, this is something that's happening in my life right now.
It's just coming. It's happening now. All
Yeah,
right.
it's happening now. I'm asking like, it's that my experience to learn something from it, or it's that person's I just find it a little
So
bit
can I ask you? Can I
odd.
ask you the question? What are you meant to learn from it? You tell me. What are you meant to learn? Because we organise our own learning.
Unconditional love, patience,
Very good. And what's unconditional love? See, so you know
it's
the answer. What's
acceptance of
unconditional
what
love?
is, right? It's acceptance of what
Yes,
is.
acceptance is a bit loaded because you have to also accept your own responses in it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to accept everything as it is. You can't exclude that's in yourself, that you have to accept as well. You know, so it looks like duplexity when you work with other people, but that's in our desire to change others. Unconditional love isn't about changing others.
I would say offer a little bit of relief.
So the other person is suffering, is that what you're saying?
I
Or is this about your own suffering?
mm, what it looks like suffering to me.
It's his suffering, the other
Yeah.
person's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And you speak with that person okay? You can communicate with
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Yes?
We
Yes?
can, yeah.
And really, really wanting to be whole and complete with this? Well, first we have to embrace it,
I am.
to be perfectly okay. You know, I mean, sometimes there's points where there's conflict or something needs to be said. But if it's futile and it goes around and around in circles, then that's not achieved. It's not achieving anything. You have to look at this very, very carefully.
Can I say something?
Yes, Anne-Marie.
It's Magdalena.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're working with a child that's either on the spectrum or hasn't been diagnosed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
But just
Right.
there's no judgment there. You just be love.
I am love.
I mean,
And
I
I
know
love
you
it
are.
very
This,
much.
yeah, of course. But, I mean,
I just don't understand what I can't say not the lessons or anything. It's just we get along extremely well and everything is great and he's responding very well to me and I'm the only one that actually he's responding to.
that's good.
But I just don't there's I don't like I see the way
Which
some
part
things are
do
and I
you
just don't
not?
like it. I don't like the
Yes.
suffering, the
Ekomananda.
feelings like not understood by other people.
There's some questions here, Adelina.
My question back to
Thank
you is, what do you not accept? And we dive into that, right? So
Uh,
it's,
Other
this
people's
is
judgment,
it.
I guess.
This
I don't know.
is it. It's total acceptance. And then Sunyata said, this acceptance is loaded. And we give a lot of reasons. We need to, this needs to happen so I can accept it. And we see other people's seemingly suffering. This is a mind. And we don't know if that person is truly suffering because
Yeah.
this is the surfacing. It's the surfacing stories.
And it's also in accepting your suffering. Is your suffering here, your suffering is here. This is what really is the subject, is your suffering. Because for the other, these are measurements of energy that we need to put into circumstance. So that in itself is a work, and it can be frustrating because I could only guess at it. You're continually needing to be responsible for it. But what are you not acknowledging about your own suffering? Because suffering is here. You know, if the body goes into immense pain, then the body has to be laid down and let be rest. Something has to. So I would look at myself if suffering comes up, because that's how it occurs to me. It usually comes through the body. And there's just a time to go, okay, now the body needs to be, let it rest, find rest. And that's usually, there's simple adjustments. I would say that what I'm sensing, I don't really know, is that it's your own suffering that's not being acknowledged. And to accept it. That doesn't mean be neutral to it. You might have to do something for it. Magdalena, come forward with it. Because I can sense your frustration, dear. You know,
I
it's
don't
really here
understand.
on this.
I honestly don't understand. Like, I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
I guess I don't understand. I don't
There's a
understand.
reluctance to say it. No, but there's a reluctance to say it. What don't you understand? Because this is something particular out of your own life. Do you mind sharing that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. What is it that you seek
Okay,
most of all?
so if I'm not accepting my suffering, what about you guys? Are you accepting your suffering? If
Oh,
let's say if
absolutely.
I'm not
You know,
accepting,
if the
how?
body comes up, the body is acknowledged. If
Uh-huh.
emotion comes up, the
Okay.
emotion is acknowledged. If there's a communication that happens, the communication will come through. There's nothing inhibited. It's not
When
holding on to
once
a position or a state. This is really, really important. You let everything be. So we have all these concocted viewpoints about what it is to be steady and clear, and we create an excess of extra tensions in ourselves about these beliefs. There's no need for any of these beliefs. None at all. None at all. It doesn't rest on
my
belief.
comment, when we accept our own suffering, suffering stops.
Sometimes there are windows for things. With body things, the suffering might come up in body out of exhaustion or whatever, you know, and you just, you do the thing appropriate for that. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't affect this. It's just in the body. It's just the body.
So since everybody's it's such at such a like enlightening level, can you guys help me understand that basically if I'm accepting my suffering, that my world should be mm, good and there's nothing ever
Not
happened, or
necessarily. It might
what?
not be good. It might not be good.
Mm-hmm.
But like it depends on if this is coming out of terms of judgment or not. Like the world
You
might look in
see,
at certain aspects of the life and sort of see that that's a lot of suffering. You know, I went through a lot of illness and there was a lot of suffering in the body, but it didn't separate me. I just accepted it. And when a way of healing came forward, I accepted it. Mm-hmm.
when this is it being acknowledged and a total acceptance taking place, there is no good and bad, right? So when you come out, you ask this question, if I accept everything in life just flow as, what the mind wanted, so the mind is no longer here. The mind here is only to respond to the bodily need to make an okayness, but that does not guarantee seemingly a perfect life would appear. But we make life perfect by accept it's not perfect. We have bills need to pay. We might still run out of dollars in the bank account, but we trust We handed it to the
Yeah, there's
universe.
work to
Well,
be done. You don't get separated from anything. You know, there's still the ant farm. There's things to do. You maintain a body. You know, you help those who you can, but you help anyone you can.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. First of all, you'd have to know what it is that you feel is in. First, I'd have to know is what you feel is incomplete. What is incomplete? Where do you expect yourself to feel whole? What is it that you would do that would make yourself whole?
Who are you talking to?
Say that again.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, actually. Yes, yes. Sorry.
I'm not going to turn this into like a psychology meeting, but
No, it doesn't need to be like psychology. It isn't psychology. It's just this.
I understand what's the matter, and I accept it, and I'm actually very happy with it. I just wanted to
Right.
know if there's suffering on the other.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
You don't get contained by, like these things, just, a question of balance and rest. And it's not just the conscious mind, it's everything else.
there isn't suffering at all.
It's just the mind making it, right? Making it up.
It's the story.
It's the
And
story.
the story is not you.
Mm-hmm.
In this body, Magdalena there is doing something with this little child. The child appears struggles with, being social, making friends, learning stuff like that. But he's doing perfectly fine because if we look deeper,
Mm-hmm.
we were there. We were there, but we got it here right now. We got it here.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, just things happened. Right? Things happened. I climbed the ladders, got here. Slowly when I climbed the ladders, I sort of see through that's just a story. That just many, many stories. That's not me. If I have to describe what happened to this body in the past, I suffered, yes. That's
Mm-hmm.
even we trying to convey a message. But don't get caught up with this appearance. It changes. It changes every single moment. And we cannot stop that changing process. It happens. And that happening is it. That's not the end of the story, but it's just the story how it appears right here, right now. But next moment is different. But you can make that not make. You're not even making anything at all. I can't. We can't say this. We can't say what this is. But you know it.
In the story of me, when me was a central orientation, this is all an illusion. This has always been here. This is never not here. It never wasn't here. It's always been. There is no time. There is no story. It was all stories. It's all stories.
So there is no
You
now,
can't.
and there's no suffering, or there is suffering.
Well, like this body, there's no suffering in mind. No mind, no thought is held on to. But there might be war. I might go to
Yeah, you were
war.
painting something about the war last time. I
Oh
saw.
yes, like there might be this, there might be this. Like it's not conditioned. And unconditional love includes death and rape and horrible amounts of people dying at war, and that's also unconditional love because we don't know what this is. How this occurs to us is we're pinpointed as an eye in a locality. But that's not how we feel it. It's not how we think it. But this is all illusion. This is just appearance. It's just appearance. And we take that on like it's our personal responsibility.
I know.
We reach out into this like this is all part, because this is how we feel it. Because we don't have separation. There isn't separation. But depending on how we are conditioned in the mind, as we be attached to how we occur in the world, how we feel in the world, and that suffering is unnecessary. That suffering is unnecessary. It's unreal. It's not real. But we can still protest and say, but how come so many people dying here and dying there and doing this? Do something, do something, do something, do something, do something, do something. Well, first we need to see it in ourselves, how it occurs in the self. If you don't see how it occurs in the self, it's not going to happen anywhere else. It's happening right now. That illusion is for where we hold on to excessive suffering, which is unnecessary. So there's a relaxation that happens about this. You could call it meditation. You might call it contemplation. You watch really, really carefully. Or where we grasp things, where we have expectations. And these are prolific in the self. It's a duplexity. It's not just duality. It's a duplexity. Right? We don't want people to die. We don't want people to suffer. Of course not. We don't want anything to suffer. Anything. But it's the nature of this world, Anne-Marie. I like the way you come and go, you vanish.
I've come to understand from myself that everything is everywhere all at once. And there's only one soul, and we are all that one soul, experiencing everything everywhere all at once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm experiencing a really loud car race that's happening just at the end of my street. And it's awful. Because I'm just at the beginning of sort of Peary Street, where it crosses Hart Street, and that's where the racetrack is. So
we came down. We could see it sort of mounting in Adelaide. We had the classic cars coming through here, and we decided to go down and say hello to the police lady who was managing the cars.
That would have been great.
To the front of our
here is
and I honestly I could feel the testosterone.
It's pouring through my window.
You know, like, and what can you do? You're like, it seems so, but you have to smile at it.
I do.
You
I'm going to go to
well,
the beach. I'm leaving the house today. I'm going to the beach. The ocean is
Let's come
calling.
back to Magdalena. I can see that she is contemplating and perhaps a little frustration there, and that's totally
No,
okay.
I'm actually ready, and I'm so happy and grateful on my
Thank you so
paper.
much. I have volunteered to making a judgment which is wrongdoing. Anyway, there's no wrong or good. Anyway, I wanted to share. I once
I
heard
really
and
am. Look, I was just writing. I'm so, I don't know if it can you
Oh,
see?
look, she's doing it too now.
I am so happy and grateful on the
beautiful.
paper.
A monk once said, "Life,
Oh,
everything, life is perfect the way it is, right? Or everything is just perfect." So a seeker came to ask, how can you say life is perfect because the child is dying, somebody suffering from hunger? He says, it is perfect. You don't need to
and
change
Anna
anything.
Maria is suffering from the testosterone of
oh,
sort of
I'm
motor
not.
racing.
It's actually the noise is flushing out all the thoughts in my head, so I'm quiet mind, open the heart, quiet mind, and heart. It's not allowing me to.
And to understand that life is perfect as is, it took me a number of years to get that. My brother gambled for 10 years. It costed the whole family's fortune. Okay, my parents' retirement money, whatever dollar they have, they had in the bank account, and
Everything.
whatever I have largely contributed to him as well. Apart from that, for my lifetime, only once time I borrowed 10,000 for him, Aussie dollars, to help him to pay his gambling debt. And that was because I saw him suffering. Now, the moment I saw him suffering is because I am self-suffering. I am
Yeah.
suffering. If I do not suffer from his gambling, I see nothing. Life is perfect. I see something, but I also see nothing. I don't see it as suffering. So I am here sitting perfectly. I would still have money in the bank, right? But that's another story.
Can I say something here, Ekmananda? Just interject us a little bit. It's in the nature of the story of the I comprehending this. So this is so immense. This is so immense, you can't comprehend it. There's no way that you can grasp this. It's so immense. It's so magnificent, so huge. You can't contain it in a body. You can't contain it in thought. And what we do in our stories, we carve it down to where we feel ourselves as a body mind in the world. And for where our immediate experience, for those little gripes, little things that irritate us. This is the story of the self. It's really minimal. It might be huge amounts of money. It might be sort of, like managing 10,000 people who you're about to send to the front of a war to have their lives be lost. It can manifest, but it's only small limitations of how a story occurs to the eye. But this is so immense that you cannot possibly hold it. You cannot. And it's happening so quickly. There's no way you can grasp it. You can't, and that wanting to grasp what's happening in our knowing is where the suffering really comes from. There's minimal suffering for where the body's need shows up, and there's a little greater suffering for where we find emotionality between beingness, other beings. But this is all very marginal. It's all very marginal. It's no real big deal. And in our own situation, that minimalness is easy to pass beyond. Very, very easy to pass beyond. And if you immerse yourself into this, you're awestruck, like you were when you were, small child and innocent. And there's an innocence about it. But it's not a state, and it's not something you do. It's in the relaxation. of just coming to this, just simply coming to this. There's nothing extraordinary. It's actually very, very simple. Very, very simple. There's nothing added on. Yes, Magdalena.
I vote let's do a
Magdalena.
meditation.
How's that?
I vote let's do a meditation. I vote let's do a meditation.
Let's do a meditation.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do meditation like this.
Why not?
This is it. This is it. Nothing needs to be added on.
Yeah.
Maybe one for Anna Marie wants to add one thing on before.
Oh, I just wondered, did I miss doing a chant? Did we do a chant at the beginning? No?
No, we didn't do it. No, we came in strong today.
We simplify everything. No more format. We just right into
Oh,
it.
I've gotten really, I find it incredibly nurturing to do down to, and
You can sing if you love to.
there's no pressure.
Well, the and the hue and all these sounds are in everything. They're also in those motor cars.
They are.
And if you can and feel the
That's
hum,
true.
feel
It's
the
all-
hum of everything.
It's all
in the space.
frequency.
Have a
It's all
listen.
frequency. Yeah.
Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to what the Om car is, if you want to, or what the sound current is. Listen really carefully and accept it as that. Accept it. Here it is, as it is.
You can chant a little bit.
And relax into this. Just relax into this. Just totally relax. Come on. This is it.
Om Bhuva Swaha Tatsavedu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatsavedu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatsavedu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatthavitu Vareyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya swaha tatsavitu vareyam Bhago devasya Demahi Deyo Yona Prachodaya Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And slowly can come back to the body, to the self, if there's any, to your room, to feel the air, to feel the joy. The continuity of life appearance. And to add a little bit more about the story of my brother, he worked it out himself. It turned out my interference was totally unnecessary. My interference was what I created for this body to experience. Having said that, that experience did promote my spiritual rising. And I had to totally accept to get to zero, have $0 in the bank account. Brilliant. Start from zero. And that, so totally letting go of money. That's the story.
It's all synchronicity. It is. It's such beauty. I find such beauty in situations that appear to be highly charged or emotional or frustrating or sad, and almost without exception, I learned something amazing. I feel closer to source, or almost always.
You never separated.
It's been wonderful. The last few days have been really amazing. Really amazing. Can I share something very quickly? My mum called me. Well, I missed 6 phone calls from her because I was dozing after getting up. So I called her and I said, Mum, you called me 6 times. That's unusual. And she said, she asked me when I'd seen last someone very dear to our family, an uncle. And I immediately thought, oh no, she's going to tell me he's dropped the body. And she goes, yes, he did. So I proceeded to message his girlfriend, partner. My message was, of love and compassion. And she called me and she said, no, Peter is not dead. No, his ex-wife died and we're helping him. And Peter asked me, go tell Ada. But it was, I felt such a, I can't explain. Sometimes, for as much as I can talk a lot, sometimes I don't find the words. It was another layer of fearlessness around death. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Quite beautiful.
This is a celebration of life.
It really is.
I recall the other day I had this chat with Sunyata talking about my grandma passing. I've never experienced that loss of somebody when they're passing. So the closest one to me was my grandma. One when I was 2, one when I was 14. But when I was 14, I was not there. My mom went to see her. I was at school. So when I was 2, I remembered we were kneeling, three of us, me, my brother, and my cousin. So the other cousins are big now. They don't have to do that. So we kneeled around the coffin. We need to cry for, can't remember, 1 day or 3 days. And we did not know what was sadness. We had to fake it. I remember we were playing around the coffin, like my grandma was in it, right? We did not know what was sad, and we had to pretend we were crying for at least a day. It might be 3 days. And I thought about that. We had fun, right? And that was rude to the parents, to the the adult, you're supposed to cry. You need to feel sadness, and we just did not know. We, as a child, all we know was just playing.
Yes, the various rituals around death are really interesting. I've had occasion to be present at Islamic laying the body to rest. There's no crying. It's not allowed. It's a celebration.
Not with the sannyasins either.
Yeah.
No, there's no. I couldn't feel sad when my father died. I felt really happy for him.
Yeah.
It was all complete and done, and this is the bow on the top of the box. It's all done. It's finished.
Yes.
No attachment to it.
I was relieved for my dad. I was very relieved for my dad. It was just 8 years ago, and he was ready. He was ready because he couldn't dance anymore, and he couldn't, sing. And he said, I go now."
I had a year of sitting in the Burning Ghats in India, meditating.
Oh, wow.
So I lived on Burning Ghat Drive in Pune, and when the funeral processions came by, I would follow them down and just sit through the whole ceremony of all people going through their grief and all the shift of the life of those who are dependent on the people who die, perhaps, and wives throw themselves on fires and a number of things, and sannyasins coming down and burning their dead and dancing around the fire, completely different attitudes. There was one experience where I remember seeing a tiny little girl at a Ganesha festival, and it's a very big festival in India. And I can remember watching a tiny little girl being coerced into having to participate in the ritual. And she was looking around like, this is all weird, this is all strange. We learn how to react to all these things. And grief is usually around our own loss. Yeah, it's around our own loss, not about the person going. There might be a little bit of tragedy for those who are young or those who take their lives. We might have ideas about all this too. Anyway, it's not important. We put importance on it.
Interesting that you say that. I'm understanding more and more how much is not important, how very unimportant things are.
It's about we hold a lot of unnecessary tension.
Oh my goodness!
And it's all a contraction.
Yeah.
In what we call the beingness, some around the head, in different parts of the body. It will store. It shows up in our volition. It shows up in our behavior. There might be concepts about it. There might be just sensitivities that we've developed in the company of others, beliefs. These become what we call second nature, automatic in us. And for anything, there's no achievement in meditation for any process that we do, except in the revelation that this is unreal, and this is unreal, and this is unreal. And slowly these tensions relax, and they relax, and those unnecessary things fall away. A lot of our reactiveness to things is just this tension around contracted, and the contracts around belief. It's not mental. You might initiate, it turns into a feeling form and becomes very, very solid. And for many, many people, it's very, very hard to separate themselves from unnecessary suffering. So much of it is in the mind. It is in the mind. It's also in the body.
Yes, you do carry.
The only person who can do anything about it is for ourselves to realize. All that's going on here is we're overcoming the self. Everything else is simple, and as simple as the other part. everything that can be had in this world is a devotional service to others,
Yeah.
if we can do that opportunity. And if we live in our simplicity and quietude, then it's just gently contemplating what's necessary and unnecessary in the self, or for that it's even real. In the end, all this contract of the self will fall away, whether it falls away at death or falls away before. It's falling away all the time. It has all the way through. And what we do is we fill those spaces. We don't like emptiness. We don't want emptiness. No one wants emptiness, because the self is all about its doing. It's all about its achievements. But in the emptiness and really the ushering away of the self, then a quietude comes about. You're basically really coming back to the natural state. The natural state is that that's before conditioning. The natural state is that before attributes.
Before
And settling into this. And this doesn't mean that we don't get irritated or we don't have emotion. It's not about that. It's not about eradicating anything. It's not really even about changing anything. It's not even in understanding, because sometimes it can be greater than we are. Many revelations will happen like a vault of light. It looks like light because it's the relaxing beyond the tension. That's what happens. That's what sits behind it, is light and emptiness and vastness beyond consciousness, beyond everything. Total relaxation. That's what we look for in meditation. No division in us.
And come back to that suffering we see around us or out there. The person is doing his or her own work, his or her own journey. That is what it appears to be perfect, because we cannot walk the journey for them. That body is doing his own story, and that body is doing her own story.
Can I just say something here? In that there's only here, and this is it. In the appearance occurs our tensions and our protesting that this might not be as it should be.
Everything's always as it should be.
And this is where the tension is. This is the tension. And it's that we actually look at right here. And we stay with whatever arises right here. We look at it very, very carefully. Just here. And we ask ourselves, is this necessary? Really? Is it really necessary? Is this really serving anything by me holding this tension? What is this tension? People talk about source, but that's what they mean. They mean to be able to see the roots of things, to see the roots of things. In our own life, we can see the roots of things.
And that's all it is.
We can, in our own, and it's very, very difficult to see what that is in another person. Really, only the person can do that for themselves, and they have to want to be able to do that. If any good can come out of anything we do, it's in that relaxation. Whether that's the complete annihilation of the self or whether all that just stays intact, all that doesn't matter. But if that tension was removed, who would I be? There's no separation in this. There's no separation in this. You can't differentiate the self from this. It still is only appearance. Through the body mind, the eye can't grasp this, and to relax with that. Understand it as it is. We're just flowers growing in a garden. That's what humanness is. It's just a flowering in a garden. And we'll come to flowering, or whatever that means. And then we'll merge with everything. We are that. And that merging is already here. And it's never been separated. Never been separated from this, ever. And the stories and all the arrangements and our contracts and relationships, for all that, for all the story, is just this. It's just this. Yes. Perhaps we could probably finish here, I think. This is a good point to contemplate. I think it's in the same way as who am I, is a wonderful device to seeing that really the I is empty. We talk about source. It's the meeting ground for this. What else is it? It's just this. And we could say it's a meeting or a path. There's no path. Accepting this is as it is. What better work can be done but here, now? See? And everything's available to us here now. This is where the purification is happening, right here now. And it's all very, very obvious. The work's already been done. There's no more work to be done. There's no work to be done. We just observe it. And if it's understandings that are necessary, well and good. If it's knowledge to be accumulated, perhaps that might be helpful for others. Who knows? However it occurs. However it occurs. And there is a deepening, but it's still a surface. It's still available to us. It's all totally recognizable, that in our own lives. We know this by when we ask a question. We ask a question ourselves, we know the answer. We just resist it. See? So this is it. This is this. And this is the most divine meeting. Just here. This is the most beautiful. Just here. And this is freedom. Because there's nothing more to seek. Freedom is from seeking. Freedom is from having to add anything on. There's a courageousness in this. To be nothing.
Become nobody.
Maybe we can just leave it here. When we come back, we'll see. And enjoy this. Just enjoy this. Or not. Enjoy this. However it shows up. If there's wisdom to be acquired, enjoy that. If there's gratitude to be given, do that.
Yeah. If there's any questions, by all means, message me privately. We can chat. I can expand a little bit more. Sunyata's message is succinct. It's right to the point. There's no fluffy thing. I can add a bit of thing to expand on that a bit. How you get there. This is the direct arrival, if I may say so, to convey the message. You go to many different courses. Those courses are stepping stone bring you here. And just accept here.
It's really lovely. The more you settle into this, just settling into this more and more and more, stuff comes up, like, yeah, okay. And then you go, whoa, okay. I have to put a bit of effort there. I have to put a bit of effort. I'll spend some time with that person. That'd be a nice thing to do. Whatever, however it occurs, just this. because you're beautiful as you are. And recognizing that beauty just gives a little bit more confidence. And you're more likely to give a little more because you just feel good in yourself. And sometimes you might be smiling inappropriately because it's actually all okay. For me, it's okay. Let's, and of course we want everyone to be okay. And maybe we can share it a little, come to it, share our revelations, perhaps, see our breakthroughs, see the benefits, love and gratitude for being here. It has been a journey. Also accept that. Gratitude for the journey as well. Gratitude to the seeker as well. Nothing wrong with the seeker also. Okay.
When the desire is not working for you, you just come here. Totally be. This is it.
Everything.
If you repeat this, make this your mantra, this is it, this is it, this is it, then your desires will be absorbed because there's a desire of wanting something to happen or just wanting to serve others, wanting to provide better for others. Okay, stop that. You will realize that won't work for you. That won't work for you because you simply cannot give something you don't have. It's not material. This work is not material. This work is not external. This work is purely internal. It's your own business. It's not other people's business. It's not your business to help other people's businesses. It's just simply your own business. That's it. And you just say, this is it. This is it. I'm done. And then life will be just perfect.
Well, a little bit softer, and how things also occur. Things may arise. They all arise, and it's different to how we've been educated to understand how it is. You can't be educated to understand who you are. You cannot be educated to understand who you are. You're the only one who can understand this. You're the only one. You're your very, very best teacher. Very, very best teacher.
Okay, we sit on this, meditate on whatever that might be, and I'll see you next month.
Yeah. Lovely seeing everyone.
Next month.
There's online. We meet on every third Saturday, Adelaide time, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Locally, we do a monthly in-person session. That's first Saturday.
It'd be nice if you could be here, Magda.
To the late evening.
Pull it through a line or something.
Unmute.
I said, don't say it because I will be there.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. Come.
Where are you?
Welcome. You're welcome.
You come and you can stay with us. We have a small single bed to cater to people who come visit us. So we are running our life as the ashram format. So we slowly open to people. So yesterday we had a lovely sister, Jaya, stayed with us for a night. So we are still slowly rolling it out and spread the words. People will come and stay with us. We can set up a tent at the backyard. Here we have one single bed. Just crash on the floor. Yes, that's what we're doing. We are very fortunate to be here and to have one another, to have everybody comes close to us. Just totally gratitude. We can't thank enough for whatever the universe has presented for us.
Magdalena, where are you?
I'm in Florida.
Okay.
I had a question. Sunyata, you said you cannot be educated in who you are. I wanted to write that down. Do you remember how?
Yes, do that. It's true. Well, we can't even speak for the depth of this, even though it's nothing, it's everything. Because what occurs as the eye, the perceivable, is on the surface of everything. There's no separation of anything. And who am I in that? You can't define that. It's not confined to the body and mind, you see? It's not. And for how we've been educated to be, even the way the mind's geared down to being sort of this utility functional thing for the basic forms that we've been educated into. it's also intuitive on a level which is very supra-sensitive. You find it's almost like we have tentacles out into the space. We're actually connected out through everything. That dimensionality is also here. So when we say it's nothing, it's also everything.
That's right.
And we just don't get stuck anywhere. Just don't get stuck anywhere. You know, this relaxation is not to become insensitive or indifferent to everything. It's to become even deeper and more connected with everything. It becomes deeper and connected with everything. It is that. And all we're doing is relaxing out of all the mindsets and all these false tensions that we've been made to believe we are. They're untrue. It's untrue. It's some of it's really convenient, you know. A lot of it's really convenient. It's all fine. We're also moving together like a giant big ant farm, you know, and that works well. I'm not being cynical about that. That works well. You know, we cooperate on a certain level because we have a uniformity. It's not to be ultra like anarchic against the system. No, it's not like that.
On November 30th, I'm going to December 9th, I'm going to Sedona, Arizona.
Oh, I'm coming too. Where's your suitcase? I'll jump in.
I'm gonna take a carry-on because I don't want to carry too much stuff.
I'm really tiny. I'm really small. I'm this big.
So I wanted to. Is it anything I should just be there and not? Is it anything in particular I should do, or? Because I heard.
Where are you going? What place?
He's going to Sedona. Sedona.
Yeah, beautiful place. Well, lucky you. Take gratitude with you.
I am
Gratitude.
very grateful. Yes.
Yeah, lots of it.
And
lots of endless gratitude is sort of the best way of sort of going around the world.
I heard it's the actually Earth. It's a living being, right? So apparently Arizona, Sedona, it's that there will be the first chakra of the Earth.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there.
If I go into anything like that, Magdalena, it's almost like it's hard to contain it in the body. When you get surrounded by really beautiful people, you just it feels so expansive. Love is so, you know, it's like, you know, how do we contain it in a body? I mean, even now, even us here now, this is actually, the energy is so beautiful now. It's really, really hard to contain this in the body.
Yes.
It's very hard. It's very hard. But anyway, you're not doing anything. It's just sort of happening. There's just so much love here.
I'm so happy right now. Oh my, I could just.
Yeah, it's very blissful. It's very blissful. It's my cheeks hurt.
Go have fun. Whatever.
Who knows what will happen, lovey? You know, these are usually
and then, I got an invitation.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what happens? You know.
Who knows?
there is lots of places.
That's good too, lovey. That's good. Yeah. Love is good. Love is good. And unconditional love.
Play like a child.
Mattia said to me, Mattia is my youngest grandchild. He's 11 years old. He said to me, Nonna, you're my favorite child. I said, yeah. Why? It's because you have more fun. You have more fun than everybody. You're my favorite child. My grandson said, it's beautiful. So, I am. Finally.
The children teach us how to live.
So much.
And we forgot about it, how to live.
The childlike one is, she's in a state of awe.
Constantly.
Because there's no inhibition, there's no tension. Totally innocent, meeting the world. That's who she is. It's just really, really beautiful. Just in awe. There's flowers in the fields, there's the smell of the trees, the sun is shining, You know, like the earth is just blooming, all of life is just happening, and we're just part of it. That's all that it is. It's really, really beautiful. It's just really, really beautiful. And that's all it is. And that's beyond the self. You don't need any equipment for that. We're totally of that, connected in that, can't separate from it. All the oozing of nature is just life. Love and life are exactly the same. Love and life are identical. And it's changing phenomenally, like on an energetic level all the time. And that's also here. You know, it's not in the carriages of mind, the way we sort of organize our doingness. It's much more subtle than that. And to go into all that and be that poetry, you can't write that. You can't create that. You can't even desire it, because you can't put it into a box, into a form, into a set of words. It's just wonderment. It's just wonderment. And that's what our heart is. Our heart is wonder. Our heart is wonderment. It's not mind. Mind's not necessary. Mind's only there for a little part, for a little bit of calculating, for a little bit of organizing. It's just simple. Mind is just simple. And thoughts that arise slowly as the mind softens just become intuitive. And you find you just have those synchronicities that you were talking about, Anna Marie, where you just connect with people and you know who's going to ring and you know who you need to connect with. And you know it's all very, very simple. It's all very, very simple. It's a garden. It's a garden.
No pressure. There's no.
This world is a garden.
Expectation. Yeah.
It's just a garden. And we're just flowers. We're mobile flowers in the garden. No, I'm not talking about the body, really.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about because there's no bodies, there's no bodies, there's no mind, there's none of this. This is just an appearance. It's all just energy moving about. That's all it is. And for this carriage like this, well, this is very interesting. And we're doing this sort of human thing for 70 or 80 years, if that's how it is. Very nice. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very curious it is. You know, dramas and everything. How curious. Whatever. Everything's fine. You know, like good. Everything was fine. All good. You know, wisdom, no wisdom. All good. Whatever happened, fine. Great. Beautiful. Perfect. It has you be here now as you are. Beautiful. You know, gratitude for that. Also gratitude for the self. This isn't nihilistic. Loves life.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Lovely being
Loving
together.
the light from our hearts to yours.
All right.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for spending your precious morning or evening with us, because Magdalene is from the state, and we're slowly spreading the light, bring those who are close to us to light, and just be
unconditional love. Yes, that's a good one.
Bye for
Very
now.
nice. All right, lots of love. Yeah. Nice. Thank
See
you.
you soon. Bye.
soon.
All right, see you.